Onboard Lifestyle. Well, here I am sitting under SV Basic, trying to stay out of the wind and rain. It's been just one system after another. 2021 is starting out a little blustery. It's okay though, they're coming in waves. So about every other day, we're able to get some work done. Got a good day in yesterday. It's going to be rainy and windy today, but tomorrow looks good as well. Then another storm after that. We're just going to have to deal with it. That's okay, because in between, I'm bagging up our project here. There's actually heat in here, and it's curing epoxy. We're making some good progress, despite the weather. So let's get everybody up to speed. In our last video, we started the caps for the light soffit. We ripped the honeycomb to width and then scribed the profiles to the soffit detail. PVC moldings were laminated to the panels to give soft radius edges to our project. After the edge treatment epoxy cured, it was time to shape the 5 panels to fit over the soffit curtains. To do this, we clamped the main trunk panel in place in order to work the rest of the pieces. This process took a bit of time to align all the components, but it'll save us time and weight later when we fare out for smoothness.
Now that we feel comfortable with the soffit caps shape, it's time to remove them to apply fabric to the backs. This has to happen at this stage because once these panels are permanently installed, it will be impossible to access them. We used an 8.37 ounce 12-inch fiberglass tape for this layout. The tape has a selvage edge, which made cutting the cloth much easier to work with. We laminated multiple layers down using the West System 105 epoxy, and since the weather has been a bit cooler, we had to use the Fast Cure 205 hardener in order to ensure a full cure in 24 hours. After each layer, the excess cloth was trimmed from the panels and hand sanded to ease all the edges. When finished, we'll have a total of 3 layers on the backs, which really not only strengthens the panels, but it also locks the PVC molding to the substrate.
With the caps ready to install, it was our last chance to add additional fabric to the interior soffit. We had previously laminated 7 10-ounce layers already, but since this is a structural element to the hardtop, we decided to run 1 additional tab. You know, I'm glad we did, because the soffit runs under the walking access to the boom, so adding more tabbing will only further strengthen and stiffen this high traffic area. We used an 8.37 ounce 4-inch fiberglass tape for this layer. It laid down nicely, and with Linh mixing the epoxy, it went pretty quick. These tabs are buried inside the structure and will not be sanded. You know, I'm sure that not sanding them will always bother me, but we still have to get the caps down, so I did my best to lay it down as smooth as possible.
With the tabs not fully cured, it was time to put down the first cap on the long soffit run. We needed this piece to be epoxied in permanently first so we can stack the rest of the components off of it tomorrow. We used a colloidal silica additive to thicken the epoxy. Thicken epoxy! And apply a strong bead along the perimeter of the 8-foot panel. We gently lined it up and settled it into place. Once the components was aligned, clamps were tightened to hold it fast for curing. The weather was again ramping up, so we tented our project and added the heat to help the epoxy harden. The next day, we were able to put the remaining panels down. We used clamps and portable heaters to cure the epoxy enough to continue installing the rest of the pieces. It took all day, but we finished.
So we let the thickened epoxy fire off overnight, and we were able to touch sand the project before starting the exterior soffit laminations. We used 38-inch wide 10-ounce cloth and trim them to about 25-inch panels. The fabric application was complicated due to the size and shape of the soffit, so laying down smaller pieces made it much more manageable. With Linh feeding me small pots of epoxy, I just worked my way around the project piece by piece. You know, the straight runs go much faster than working around those large radius areas. The key for me is to just take my time and soak out the cloth. You know, the more I soak it, the more pliable it is, and it'll conform to the substrate. At times it feels like this fabric is not going to cooperate, but with patience, it eventually all lays down. I run the fiberglass cloth wild a few inches past my target and wait for the resin to cure a bit before trimming. There's a particular point when I cut back my fabric and I babysit the project to time it perfectly. I then use a sharp razor and a straight edge to lightly score the wetted fabric and gently remove the excess tails. I do this to give me a nice clean seam. It's much easier to sand and fair later. This lamination laid down nicely and took probably about 2.5 hours. I'm happy with the pour, so it's time to 10 out today's work and let it cure. It was nice that the next weather system hit us overnight. It felt good to get up, have a bit of breakfast, and get an early start. We took the tenting down, cleaned up, and got to work. Sanding. And there was a lot to do. Even though the glass went down flat, it's nice to keep up on the sanding in between laminations. We started with orbital sanders using 80 grit sanding nets, then working the radius of the inside and outside corners by hand. It took about 2 hours in all, but our project, it was looking pretty good. Another front will be hitting us in a few hours, so our goal today is to prep the surface for a light fairing, bullnose the edge of the hardtop, fair all the seams, and then bag it up.
Oh, that's not good. Put it the other way.
And then put it here.
With the sanding complete, we had to bullnose the hardtop edge with a 1/2 inch radius to prepare for the next lamination. Our Ryobi 18-volt cordless router made easy work for the 50 lineal feet of PVC molding we had to radius. We did a good job containing the plastic debris by using dust collection and by laying down a tarp to catch the remaining balance. All in all, I really like how our project is turning out. It's amazing how by just softening a corner it changes the entire feel of the hardtop.
With the bullnose complete, we shifted gears a bit to put a light coat of fairing compound down. We used System 3 Quick Fair. It's a multi-part epoxy fairing compound that is easy to work with. My goal is to apply just a thin layer on all our seams to soften the surface imperfections a bit, so when we put that next fabric lamination down, it doesn't telegraph the seams through it. This process went fairly quick, so we tented our project for the night and put 2 small 250 watt heaters in to help the fairing compound cure. And just in time. The wind was picking up fast and the next wave of weather was approaching. So we called it. Besides, Lynn had a special meal planned, so I wanted to head upstairs.
Okay guys, I'll admit it, we are dealing with boatyard fatigue. I'm tired, Teal's tired, Emma's tired, but we are pushing through and getting this done. We are so close to the finish line. Emma, God love this girl, she has been such a trooper. She jumped right back into schoolwork and she's getting through all her subjects. We're so proud. Teal, of course, is always hard at work down below and getting this hardtop done. I love that he just busts his ass every single day for us. And it's a pretty nice ass. So, as a reward, I wanted to show them my appreciation for all the hard work that they've done, and the best way for me to show it is to create and make a beautiful meal for them, even while we're on the hard. It's a little bit harder, obviously, but this is something that we just love to do. And so for tonight, I'm going to be making sushi for them. I don't know if you remember, but back in Bodega Bay, we were gifted a beautiful king salmon from a local fisherman. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, what kind of fish is this?
That's the king.
Is it
Yeah.
king?
Yeah, a little one.
I think I'm a little excited. And we had consumed most of it, but I had saved one fillet for an occasion like this. Tonight, I'm going to be creating a Philly roll, a spicy California roll, a tempura roll, and also a cinnamon cucumber salad. It's gonna be so good, they're gonna love it. Good morning, guys. Today is going to be a little different for us. Emma and I are going on a little field trip. One of the things that we try to talk about and reiterate is how great this cruising community, boating community is. We always try to help each other out, and today is an example of that. So somebody in the yard, Shane.
Hey there, I'm Shane. I've been here in the Napa Valley Marina for the past 70 days, working every day on my severe osmosis blisters, and after all this time, it's finally the copper coat application day.
Is asking for some help. He is working on getting all his copper coat anti-fouling paint on today, so he needs a few more hands. Yep. Teal is a little busy right now, so Emma and I have volunteered to help him. Yeah. So what kind of boat is it?
This is a 1976 Erickson 36C.
Time to mix.
Look at this monster. He's had it tinted for over a month now, getting it all dry and ready. And this is just the first coat. I think it looks pretty darn good already. You ready for round 2?
I'm ready for round 2, 3, and 4. Let's get this done. Okay. Are you ready? I'm ready. All right.
Do you want this inside your through-hole fitting or just on the perimeter?
Just on the outside. I still got some old anti-fouling on the inside.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Kind of fun mixing, but oh my goodness, my arms feel like jello right now.
Okay, Emma. So what do you think about the whole painting process?
I think it was pretty fun, a little bit of a workout.
And somehow you weren't painting, but you covered yourself in copper coat.
Well, at least no barnacles are gonna grow on me, okay?
Fair enough. That was a day. It was a lot longer than I thought it would take for us. But we're done. Yeah.
You know, it was basically, let's see, there was 4 coats, about 2 hours it took per coat, and that included cleanup and application for each coat, so it was about 8 hours total.
But I think that the most important part is the mixing process. I heard that that's the most important and difficult part.
Yes, Emma did a really good job of keeping us filled and just well mixed.
She fed us all day.
She fed us with that paint all day. There
So-
was no breaks.
So basically there was 4 people rolling out at any given time on the boat, and it was a chore. I wasn't an expert at copper coat when we started, but I feel we're all
We learned
experts
a lot.
now, aren't we?
We learned a lot, definitely. But I'm just glad I don't have to do that for ours.
Should I do that again? Should I?
You were such a dork.
Thank you.